Let's take a look at driving morphs based on a distance to an object. This is a really powerful technique, and I think it's going to open up all kind of possibilities for production. So I'm going to go ahead and start by making a box, just a flat plane, and let's give it some segments, say something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and center that, so F2, and let's select all the polys and B for bevel, and I'm just going to bevel them up, something like this. Okay, and actually I'm going to undo and not have them tapered in so much. Okay, we can just still have them just as tall. Okay, and I'll commit to that, and I'm going to use the knife tool, and I'm just going to cut across and just make a few segments, something like this. Okay, and just to help me build some morphs, I'm going to go ahead and create a weight map. So I'm going to come over to weight shade, and down here for W weight, I'm going to hit N for new, and I'm just going to say bend. No initial value, create. Come over to the map tab, weights, N for numeric, and we'll set it to linear. And I'm just going to have the small end be 0 and the big end be 100%. Apply, and we can see that that translated over to our weight map. And let's go ahead and set up a morph target. So I'm going to go over to rotate, N for numeric, and I'm going to have the fall off set to weight map and M for morph, new, and I'm going to set up a bend morph here. Create, and I'm just going to bend these something like this, and then H for stretch, and I'm just going to stretch them down a little bit. Okay, so we're kind of making a little wave here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and set my rotate back to none, so that the next time I go to use it, I'm not surprised. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the base, which is like this, and I'm going to set up a new morph target, new, and we'll just call this shrink. Create. I'm going to grab these points, and I'm just going to pull them down like so. Okay, so go to texture view. Let's go ahead and hit tab, and we'll turn on subpatches. And so I've got these small little shapes here for that. I've got them bending like this for the bend, and here's our base. Okay, so this is going to be the object we're going to use, and let's save this object out. So I'm just going to call this, let's just say grass for lack of a better name. But it can be grass blades or some kind of tentacles or tendrils, but we'll just say grass. Save, and let's send this over to layout. Okay, so now I have my object in layout. Let's go ahead and turn smoothing on, surface editor, smoothing. Let's give it a color just for fun. Blue, that works. We'll throw a little bit of speck, drop the gloss, just to dress it up a little bit. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go to Object, Properties, and under the Geometry tab, let's set the subdivision order to last. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our displacement, but before we do, let's set up the object that's going to displace the geometry. So I'm going to just zoom out a little bit. Let's add a null, so items, null, and we'll call this dist for distance. It's going to be distance to this object, and I'm going to set up a ball, and let's just say 3 meters. Okay, and then I'm just going to raise that up. We'll start off over here, and then I'm going to go to the top view so that I can just kind of set up my animation here, and that's the bottom. So we'll go to the top view. Just trying to figure out where my object went. I went to the bottom view, and this is a single-sided object, so I didn't see anything. Okay, so I'll come to frame, let's say frame 15, and I'll come over here, and then frame 25, and I'll come over here. Let's just go to frame 20. Maybe we sink in here, and frame 10. come over here. So I'm just trying to go through the object and not cover the entire thing. I just want to kind of breeze through here. And then I'll go ahead and end it on frame 25. I'll end it a little farther away. And let's set our timeline to 30 frames. We'll just focus on that small amount of time right there. So there's our object passing through, and let's have it affect our base object here by using a displacement map. So I'm going to select that object, the grass object, and object properties, deform, and we'll go ahead and use the node editor. So we'll activate it and we'll open it up. So I'm going to close this down and I'll slide this over. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen with this just so that we can build it, and then I can minimize it and we can work from there. So the first thing I need to do is figure out the distance to that null object. So I'm going to go over and add a spot info node. I'm going to come over here and add an item info. And for this item info, I'm going to double click and choose the distance. The dist, that's that null object.